I'm going to tell y'all about the worst 3 days of my life that led to the best day of my life that affected the rest of my life. And I'm going to tell y'all my little friend over here, Dolly Girl. After I got saved in 98, when I got out of jail, I was in jail for a year with the halfway house, a year and 3 months. But I accepted Christ in there. And when I got out, I was different. And I was sober for a long time. And then the fear ran off. And so I started using again. And that led to 20-something years off and on, back and forth. Using, stopping for a month. Using, stopping for a little bit. But as the Holy Spirit lived in me, and I was never able to use the same again like I did before I met Christ. But I would use, and I would sober up for a little bit, and I would feel good. And then I would use. And every single time I sobered up and used, man, it was like beating myself to a pulp with a bat. It got harder because I would beat myself up, right? The voices came back. You're never going to get over this, Red. You're never going to beat this. And I got to the point, even as a believer, I knew I was never, ever going to beat it. Well, this goes on for probably close to 20 years. So 4 years ago, my drug of choice was opiates, heroin. That was my drug of choice. 4 years ago, I stopped. And the first 2 months after I stopped were amazing. Couldn't believe it. I had no desire. But in one single day, something which I have titled, I don't know if any counselor or therapist has called it this, but I call it the emotional inertia effect. Where every single problem, everything that I had run from using drugs had hit me all at once. I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was alone. I was living out here. And I'm secluded. I don't have no friends and no family anymore. So this emotional inertia effect hits me. And everything that I've ever run from is just like all my mistakes hit me at one time and I'm beat up. I can barely move. A depression hit me because of all the things I ran from. That's why I did drugs, to run away, to live on autopilot. But they all hit me at once. And I have to deal with them, one at a time. But it was literally like a head-on collision. An inertia, an emotional inertia. So I'm struggling. And about a year ago, I'm struggling with this. And I relapsed. I relapsed on a drug that I'd never even liked, never done. Let's just call it a go-fast drug. And it was perfect how it came into my... It was perfect. Like, it was set up to where, like, Satan had found a moment. Like, look at this. It was a perfect setup. Here, Red, take these. Little did I know, it was probably God setting it up. And I'll explain why. I did it. I ingested it. I swallowed it. Put it in my mouth. I just swallowed it. And when it kicked in, oh, that beating, like, look at what you've done, Red. Look at what you've done. You'd been sober all that time. You'd never been that sober long. All these voices came in. And for 3 days, day and night, no relief. Those voices. What a loser you are. You pathetic POS. Look at what you've done. You failed again. Look at that. You're never, ever going to beat it. Well, sometime after the third day, I finally come back to normal. And I remember I'm just sitting here like a zombie. I'm just sitting here. I'm like, man, I just screwed up all that time. I was sober for so long. And I did this. And I'll never forget, I'm sitting here and I said, God, I'm sorry. And I will I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, "For what?" I said, "I screwed up." He said, "Red, what about once and for all do you not understand?" And that's when I realized what that meant. I was forgiven. I was forgiven. And God didn't see that screw up because I'm forgiven. And he said, "All right, now that we got that out of the way, what are you gonna do now? You know you can sober up because you just did. Are you gonna beat yourself up like you did before? Or are you gonna move forward? The choice is yours, Red." And I'll never ever do drugs again after that day. That relapse about a year ago was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I say this story because I know that there's a lot of people out there that understand what I'm talking about right now. And so, if you fall back and you tell God, "Hey, I'm sorry," just know he's saying, "For what?" Because what Christ did, he did once for all. And after you realize that, and I hope you do, the ball's in your court. You're going to keep beating yourself up, which is what evil wants, or you're going to move forward. I've been sober ever since. That relapse that I thought was going to destroy me taught me probably the greatest lesson in my life. I never really understood the forgiveness of God until that day. I will never forget him telling me that. Sorry for what? So remember that, because we all mess up. Everybody messes up. We should try not to. We should really try. We should resist the devil. But we're still flesh. We're still people. But remember this, God's strength is made perfect in our weaknesses. Now I get to tell this story to whoever hears it on the other side of the screen and glorify God. And I hope you understand what forgiveness means. Once and for all. Once you accept Christ, it doesn't make you perfect, but the one who's perfect lives in you. And if you mess up, well, God doesn't see you. He sees the blood that covers you. So when you mess up and you come back to, what are you going to do? I've been sober ever since, and I'll never get high again. And at first I was ashamed to talk about that relapse, but now I am so glad I relapsed. So glad. Because now I got this story, and I can use it to help you. God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. So in my weakness, God showed me a lot more of who he was, his character, and forgiveness. So I hope this message helps somebody. I sincerely do.